That's all fine and dandy. My bun was not maintaining its structural integrity. Tea will be spilled. Hi, I'm Sock Marionette, doing business as bargain counter argument, and I am a middle-aged lady in a tiara talking about books and related issues. Now, as I'm recording this, it is the end of November, and Thanksgiving is in the rear view, and so is Black Friday. And people have probably already started thinking about getting gifts for friends, loved ones, colleagues, and the economy's not great. I think this is not a shocker to anyone. So not everybody has a lot of money or a lot of time, because a lot of people are working multiple jobs, or working overtime if they can get it. Further to that, even when the economy is going great, there are always some people who, for whatever reason, they're going through a tough time financially. So it's always nice to have some ideas in your back pocket for nice gifts you can get for people that show a lot of care and thoughtfulness, but don't necessarily cost a lot of money. So I'm going to talk about that today. A couple of things I've done and I've heard other people doing, showing you like how to get some nice gifts for your bookish friends, colleagues, relations, whatever, without spending a serious amount of coin. One thing I did, and I did this over a year ago for my mom's birthday, for Mom Marionette's birthday, back in October of 2024, and I got my sister and my sister-in-law to help me with this. I made her a TBR jar. Yes, these are all reading prompts in this jar. I got the jar at a church, what we in New England call a tag sale, kind of like a garage sale or a yard sale. I got this. It's really bigger than it needed to be. And I would like to thank her a lot for letting me borrow the gifts I gave her so that I could demonstrate. These are the prompts she's already used from the jar. And I'm going to read some of these off to give you an idea of the kinds of things you can do. Now, I printed these in different colors. So I printed the ones that were my sister's idea, I printed in green. Also, my sister-in-law's idea as well. The ones that were my idea, I printed in blue. And the ones I got from various TBR videos on YouTube, I printed those in red. This is a red one, so this is from YouTube. Read the oldest unread book on your Kindle. Read a book with a 3-word title. You can get a lot of ideas for prompts from YouTube, and I think you can probably just Google around and find some text-based ones as well. Now, when it comes to coming up with your own prompts, if you know your friends, relations, colleagues well, you can come up with something that would be kind of relevant to them. Here's one. Read a book that Sock currently has currently checked out from the library. She could go through my my library checkouts and see if there's anything interesting to her. And I also have some that are very personal. Like I have read a book that was published in year XYZ, where year XYZ was the year that it corresponds to a year that was a milestone for the person. So you might have their birth year, the year that they got married, the year that they had a child, the year that they graduated from high school, something like that. Or you can read a book set in a country you've always wanted to go to, or you can specify the country if you happen to know. If you know that they've always wanted to go to New Zealand, then you can just be read a book that takes place in New Zealand. So you can personalize those, because I know a lot of the ones on YouTube are kind of more generic, read a book with people on the cover, or 2 people on the cover, or more than 2 people on the cover. That's all fine and dandy. There's nothing wrong with that, whatever. But there are ways you can make it a little more personal. Read a book that's set in Santa Barbara, for example, which would be a good one for me because I was born in Santa Barbara. So anyway, so that's something you can do, is just create a TBR for somebody with these kinds of personalized prompts, and also more impersonal prompts, and then find a pretty jar. It doesn't have to be this big. This is much bigger than it needed to be. And then maybe even replenish it from time to time. So that's one thing you can do that doesn't cost a lot of money. You can write those out by hand if you don't have access to a printer. So yeah, fun stuff. The next one is potentially more complicated and a bit more spendy. You may have seen Blind Date with a Book in libraries or bookstores, and the book is wrapped so that you can't see the cover or the title or the author or anything. And there's usually a little bit of a description on the wrapper. This is where you can be a bit frugal, and that is you can go to thrift stores, secondhand bookstores, library sales, little free library if you have books to exchange, or books that you have that you're done with. This is kind of a fun way to pass them along. You could do it with new books. You could go to like Dollar General and Dollar Tree will frequently have books, and so you can maybe find something that you think they'll like there, and then you wrap it in paper. I have plain brown paper, but you can use, repurpose a shopping bag, or you can use white paper or wrapping paper. One person was suggesting, when I was doing this for my mom's birthday a few weeks ago, one person in my live stream, because I was doing it on my live stream, which those are Wednesdays at 2 p.m., midweek motivation. Hope to see you there. And she said, well, why don't you just use plain wrapping paper and then like print out a label? That's apparently what they do at Barnes & Noble for this. And then you glue that onto the wrapping paper. And I was like, well, I'm kind of already committed to writing on the paper, which is what I was doing. So I will show you, because I just gave this to my mom for her birthday just a few weeks ago, and she's already kind of gotten into them. So I have more to give her. Now, these are all books I found at library sales and that I thought she would like. So let's see what we have here. These are ones she's already opened, so I can show those. And okay, I found this book. This is a nonfiction book called The Lady in Gold, and this is the painting by an artist named Gustav Klimt. And this book is The Extraordinary Tale of Gustav Klimt's Masterpiece, Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer. So it's about Klimt, it's about her, it's about like what happened to the painting after it was painted, how it was received, and so on. And so here is the wrapper I put on it, and it says, nonfiction, art history, artist is from a country we've been to but not lived in, because Klimt was Austrian, and we've both been to Austria, but we never lived there. And then I have a little outline of an owl, and copyright 2012, that's the copyright date for the book. Love After Love by Ingrid Persaud. And I wrote on this, there's the thing. Contemporary fiction, debut author, country we've been to but not lived in, found family. Well, I haven't read this book, and I hadn't read it. I just read the back, and I knew it was published in the UK. So I assumed it took place in the UK. It actually didn't. It took place in, I want to say Trinidad and Tobago. It was a country we actually haven't been to. So there was that. And now this one she's open, but she hasn't read it yet because it's a chonker. And this is by Michelle Faber, The Crimson Petal and the White. And this is the wrapper. I actually put some stuff on the spine. And historical fiction, Victorian London, fruit on the cover, because there's like a little apple there. Both of your daughters read and liked it, because we did. Copyright 2003. And I actually, for this one, and this is something I didn't do for any of the others, I think, but you could do this if you wanted to. I had quotations, supremely literary and dizzyingly accomplished, which was from a review in The Guardian. So you could find reviews. Anyway, so you could look up reviews and like put a couple of key quotes from a review. If you are a little hesitant about how you should describe the book, other than just like, oh, it's fiction, or it's a thriller, or it's a romance, you could go to Goodreads and see how people have tagged that particular book. That might help. And then you can decorate the wrapping paper, if you don't use, pre-printed wrapping paper, as much or as little as you like. If you have stamps, use stamps. If you have stickers, use stickers. I actually, because I don't have much in the way of artistic skill in terms of execution, I got some stencils. I just got a whole bunch of stencils from Amazon. that's an additional expense that you don't necessarily need to go to. Like, here's the owl, and I just outlined the owl and kind of beefed up his eyes a little. The others, I actually used markers. Again, you could just use stickers if that's where your head is at, or freehand, or trace something. Cookie cutters, anything you have handy. You can make a snowball, not a snowball, a snowman using different sizes of glasses to trace out the circles if you don't want to freehand. You could do a Christmas ornament, again, using something circular. And another thing you can do to kind of help personalize the gift and make it more fun is include a bookmark. Now, I'm going to use a book that I actually bought for myself. I got this at Marshall's, and this is a book that just came out a few weeks ago at Marshall's. It was $9.90. Ooh, my hair's coming out. Brief pause to address the fact that my bun was not maintaining its structural integrity. Anyway, I got this at Marshall's, and I think they do this at TJ Maxx as well, but not Home Goods. I got this book for myself. Now, this book just came out a few weeks ago, and it was $9.99. The list price is $18.99. I think it was on Amazon for $17.20 or something like that. And it was at Marshall's for $9.99, and that is Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal by Megan Quinn. I got this for myself, but I'm going to use this as an example because I do have some more books for my mom to replenish the stock since she's been getting into it. I'm using this as an example so that I can show you some fun stuff you can do to personalize it. You can include a bookmark. Now, you can buy a bookmark, you can make a bookmark. One thing you can do to kind of coordinate the bookmark if you want is you can go to a paint dealer. I like Benjamin Moore, which are available at Ace Hardware in the US, as well as Benjamin Moore has like their own standalone stores. And the reason I like their paint cards that I use as bookmarks is that they are a good size for that. Because a lot of places the paint cards are like too rectangular. I mean, not too rectangular, too square. They're not square, but they're too wide or, not tall enough. So Benjamin Moore has these long, tall ones and then slightly shorter, but still a nice width. That's the word I'm looking for. So what I would do, now this is just my own personal stash of bookmarks. So they're a little careworn, but you can get fresh ones. So I would pick a bookmark that coordinates to the book. So I'm going to do this blue one, and I would tuck it inside the book. And then, which I don't know why I'm showing you. You can't see. I tucked it inside the book. Then I found these stickers at Dollar Tree the other day. So they're like, what is that? $1.50 or $1.25 now? This is a package of 36 stickers. These are very sparkly. And they have, it's hard to see, I think, but they have different pictures and words on them. Like we have strength, luck, the sweet treat, the magician. Some of them are kind of tarot, like strength and the magician, and others they're just kind of Queen of Cups they have, but it's a picture of like a little drink cup. So you could try to find a sticker that might coordinate either in the color or in the theme. This blue one, it's a little teapot and it's called The Spilled Tea, and it's blue, so it kind of goes with this. And of course it's a romance novel, so the tea will be spilled. I would tuck that into the book along with the bookmark, and your recipient can then enjoy the sticker as well. If they are a book journaler, they could potentially use that sticker in their book journal, or they could use it for, it's a gift. They use it for whatever they want, or not at all, or they pass it along to somebody else. So that's a way to make it a little more fun. And then you wrap it up. And then on the wrapper, I would write fiction, rom-com, small town, spicy, Christmas themed, and copyright 2025. And like I said, you can always go on Goodreads and see what some of the tags are that users have put there. And then you can just, like I said, you can freehand a drawing on there, stickers, whatever. If you have like some Christmas wrapping paper that has like snowflakes or holly berries or something like that, you could cut those out and glue them onto the paper. Or you could just use that Christmas paper and print out on a white piece of paper those tags. Like I said, if you go to library sales, you can find a lot of good stuff. Sometimes you can find new releases even for not very much money, or older stuff. If you think the person would welcome having used books in their collection. So those are just a couple of ideas for less expensive things you can do for the readers in your life. In terms of, if you have a lot of friends, a book club, or just a lot of friends who like books, you could have if you have them, if they're people you can see face to face and sit down with, you could have a book exchange party, or maybe combine a book exchange party with a cookie exchange party or something like that, where everybody brings a book or a couple of books that they're ready to pass on, and then you can have fun swapping them around and figure out some games to play. You could take a book and wrap it in multiple layers of wrapping paper and play pass the parcel. You could do that kind of stuff. So there are a lot of ways to enjoy books that are not necessarily super expensive. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you have a good day or night.